So welcome to our Happy Workplace interview series, where in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, we're interviewing industry professionals to give our member businesses resources to help make their workplaces a little happier. So with that being said, we have Catherine Hunter here, who is the head of a great group of licensed master's degree therapists with experience in counseling children, adolescents, adults, couples, and families since 1989. So thank you, Catherine, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So our first question would be, with the COVID pandemic reaching this new phase, kind of post-pandemic phase, where we are trying to return to a sense of normalcy, what are some of the mental health repercussions we would see with employees returning to work in the office nowadays?
Okay, well, the first and most significant repercussions is that many employees do not want to return to the office. And that is because their work-life balance has been much better with having reduced commute times as well as increased parental responsibilities. So there are many industries who are trying to work with their employees in establishing hybrid, several days back to work, and all of that. So employees who've had a long commute in the past and additional family responsibilities are hesitant and not so happy about returning back to work. One other very interesting issue in the mental health field, obviously, as we saw at the very beginning of the pandemic, all the shelves in the grocery stores were wiped out of Lysol wipes, Lysol, toilet paper, Scott towel. People who suffer from untreated obsession compulsive disorder are in management positions. And we have actually worked with several clients who've been highly discriminated against, who are not vaccinated, who have employers who have issues around the virus. And it actually causes ramifications for meeting in person.
So not only stress that you get from the virus and actually interacting with the germs, but actually the decisions that become from the virus, whether it be vaccinations, and then the added stress of, where am I going to work? Do I have to commute to work? Am I going to work from home? Am I bouncing back and forth now? There's a ton of added layers of stress that the pandemic seems to thrust upon all of us.
That's really true.
Moving on to our next question, that would be the employee side of it. What are some of the difficulties you think the business owners might face?
Well, I work with several CEOs of management firms and meeting and service industries. The hotel management, meeting and service industries, restaurants, personnel have suffered the most. And so business owners have had to, for example, in the restaurant industry, revamp their whole benefit package and salary package. More and more employees are not returning to work in the serving industries. And so some companies, some restaurant industries are choosing to provide a whole benefit package or ask for a benefit package in order to return to work. My son is in the serving industry and his girlfriend is a sous chef at a nice restaurant downtown. And she says the walkout of serving employees is incredible. And so our reservation sizes have had to be reduced in those industries. Meeting industries had to completely revamp how they do meetings, and everything has had to be virtual. So employees have been asked to redevelop their brand and significantly really look at how are they going to provide those jobs when during the pandemic, the business numbers were required to be very low.
So going into how employees are dealing with that added stress, it comes with how they cope with that added stress. What are some signs that employers can look for, maybe in employees, that they may be able to tell if someone is not coping with that added stress well?
Well, most of our communication is nonverbal. Actually, 60% of our communication is nonverbal. So if you look at employees who might be isolating, employees who have absences, employees who have work performance that has not met the bar that they usually do. We've even had employees who have undiagnosed anxiety or depression who this pandemic has really exacerbated their issues. Employees who have difficulty dealing with conflict management as well. So I would look at those kinds of behaviors to see that employees aren't coping well.
So, for someone who may think therapy or going off of coping, for someone who may need therapy and think it's scary or unnecessary, what would you say to someone that is hesitant about seeking help?
Well, I think the employee-employer relationship is the most significant thing that is going to provide security and trust to that employee. I would encourage the employer to be kind and respectful and non-judgmental. And this really, seeking help, starts at the orientation or the onboarding of an employee. For example, when employees are onboarding, that's when you begin to set the environment for, we care about what's happening to you, we care about significant stressors or illnesses that might be happening in your family. And that's when an employee is first introduced to all the services that are provided as far as for assessment or referral or employee assistance programs. The bottom line is, when an employee is not doing well, it affects business. So it costs the employee as well as the business. So I would encourage them to address it sooner than later, because giving it time for grief or giving it time for anxiety or depression to get better usually doesn't work.
So, what are some ways, in your opinion, that an employer can make a more welcoming working environment? What can help make a work environment productive for mental health rather than stressful and kind of all over the place?
Of all your questions, we had the most fun with that. I was talking with my husband and my daughter, and we talked about the importance of having a culture of wellness. So we started brainstorming, and first of all, taking breaks, taking lunch. Don't allow people to eat lunch at their desk. Encourage people to take breaks. Encourage people to take walks. Encourage people to take their PTO time. Also provide reinforcements like celebrate anniversaries, celebrate birthdays, allow a therapy dog, do special things with your team that are just fun.
What do you think for some of the employees going forward who may be struggling to talk with their boss or struggle to get into therapy? What are some healthy coping mechanisms that they can do to help themselves along before they make that leap?
Okay. Well, actually, mental health and health starts even before we walk into work. So we recommend 150 minutes of exercise a week. Okay, so that's 30 minutes times 5. What they found, what the workout professionals have found, even if you break it up into 15 minutes in the morning or 15 minutes in the afternoon, it makes a significant difference in reducing stress. Other things besides water, whole foods, relaxation, meditation, getting together with a friend to talk over things, allowing yourself breaks are really important. Looking at your work week. If you are in a position where you need to take an FMLA or a paternity or maternity leave, investigate that with your onboarding or your orientation when you are, joining a firm or joining a business. But taking advantage of the benefits that are available to you. How you take care of yourself even before you get to work and during work makes a big difference. So if you're struggling, I would recommend don't wait. Time doesn't heal. Don't ignore, don't minimize, okay? Because and don't avoid. That's a very big, for guys, that's a really big coping mechanism. I'll just pretend it'll go away. Or some other things that are really, really helpful is recognize that you have to give yourself some compassion. This has been a really stressful time, especially for parents who have children at home, who've had to become not only full-time employers, and work at home, but figure out how to be full-time teachers and monitor their kids too. So give yourself some grace, give yourself some compassion, and find out the resources that are available to you within your company so that you can go and seek some support and some help.
Thank you for everyone for joining us for this interview for our mental health happy workplace interview series. Thank you, Catherine Hunter, yet again, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Ryan.
Of course.